And welcome back to the Midday Show. I'm Jeff. He's Mark.
Wow, we shortened it a little bit today.
We did. Well, last names. Who needs last names?
Well, I mean, Elvis didn't. Madonna didn't.
Seal.
Cher.
Right. I'm sure after their 80th concert, they didn't need their last name anymore.
You're probably right.
We're almost at 90 episodes, so we're dropping the last names. I'm Jeff. He's Mark. Story about a local icon passing away. We're going to talk about restaurant policy. There's a restaurant down near Philadelphia that's causing a little bit of a ruckus. We're going to talk about a story. Basically, the moral of the story is do not feed monkeys. And then we're going to talk about music rights because Mark's a big music fan. There's a lot of streaming issues that are coming up, especially on the platform Twitch. But before we get started, Mark, how are you feeling today?
I should have a smart reaction to that, and I don't really have one. Well, this is how old I am. I am so excited that it's supposed to rain for like 8 straight hours because we really need rain. And like when you get to the age, and you, as we often say, you are a farm kid, and so you understand this stuff because how it's important to the crops. But I just know when I drive over the bridges and I see, wow, the creeks are really low, that we need rain, and it has not been an overly wet spring. So when you look at the forecast, starting like 5 o'clock, it is 100%, 100%, 100% for hours. Yeah. So and now one of these thunderstorms are just blowing and blow out. We are going to get one of these nice soaking rains, and I have achieved that point in life where this excites me more than it should.
You'll get a kick out of this. Have you ever heard of like the rubber duck races? Like you buy a bunch of rubber ducks, you number them on the bottom, and then you release them all in the river. And then at a certain point, whichever one gets there first gets the prize. Like fire companies do it.
Okay.
It's like
I get it. It sounds funny, but
it's like a fundraiser.
It's a fundraiser. Yeah, that's cool.
There's one, I believe it's in Blossburg. There's one this weekend, I think on Sunday. And the timing could not be better because we're going to get a ton of rain. We're going to get a ton of rain Friday. I'm guessing more rain on Saturday. And so on Sunday when they go to do this race, I mean, it's going to be like the rapids in Colorado.
They're going to rip down there. It's not going to be like ducky. They're going to be tossed and turned. And
yeah, so the timing's pretty good for the rubber duck race this Sunday up north. You wanted to talk a little bit about the owner of Way Cool Beans. I personally didn't know him, but you said that you just...
I mean, I knew him a little. I know people who knew him better. We have a couple people here who have had... He owned... Way Cool Beans was a coffee shop in the Pajama Factory. It is a coffee shop in the Pajama Factory. And it's one of those where you can get all the fancy blends and they have the beans right there and they sell them, they wholesale and all that stuff. And Jerry out here who had a place there and Carrie had a place there. They know much better than I did. But he's one of these guys in the local area that, when we talk about icons and we figure, politicians and businessmen and athletes and people who are in the news every day, he was not one of those, but there's a pocket of the world here in our world in Lycoming County in Williamsport, Pennsylvania, where he was an icon and just a guy that everybody liked. He owned a coffee shop. Like if that is what you want to do and you love coffee and what coffee shops are all about is it's hard to be an unlikable person and work in that kind of an environment. It's like an unfriendly bartender. It just doesn't. And
that's a really good point. That comparison's really good.
So it's a sad day. And, he'd been struggling with cancer, and I know just as a lot of people, he'd been doing well and been doing poorly. And I guess he just posted he used to post inspirational things on his Facebook page. I was not Facebook friends with him, but the people who told me he was, and he just posted either yesterday or the day before. And then it just took a quick turn and it's just a sad story because he will be missed by those people who knew him and who were around him. He will be missed greatly. And so it's just, for a lot of people, it's a sad day.
Yeah. If you go to their website, it says they're closed temporarily. But on the site, it says, thank you for understanding during this time. It looks as if Way Cool Beans is not finished. So it sounds like somebody will carry that on. And yeah, coffee culture is real. It's a real, who you get your coffee with, where you get your coffee from. Like you and I joke about like the whole sports aspect and that kind of culture and the cliques and everything. But coffee culture is, for some people, that is the culture.
Well, and I don't drink coffee. So there have been times that I would pick coffee up from there. 4 p.m. I'd be like, he's like, what do you want? And I was like, what else do you have? And he's like, well, first he'd look at me like, what do you mean you don't like coffee? But then they have tea. I'd have hot chocolate. Like there were other, but it was just kind of like, I'm just here to pick up from other people because I don't really drink coffee.
Have you tried coffee?
Nah, I don't think. I love the way it smells.
Okay.
Someone has told me you've probably tasted it black, and I will drink hot tea. I drink iced tea like every day,
Okay.
but I'll drink hot tea and I'll drink hot chocolate, but no.
Yeah, I've never tasted it.
Coffee?
No, but like the only, like you said, the scent, the aroma, like that kind of, floats around in your head. But I've never actually tasted coffee. I've stayed away from it. I was always kind of afraid of like becoming dependent on it.
Well, the people who are dependent, and you've probably dealt with this too. When I tell people I don't drink coffee, they look at you like, how are you existing?
Oh, I'm a crazy person. Like when I say that to people. Yeah.
They don't understand.
It's pretty crazy. We talked the other day about inflation. Then we'll go to restaurant policies. This kind of works in with them. Did you know? I didn't know this until like going into the industry a little bit. That coffee is only grown in a specific. There's a bean belt. Okay. Did you know this at all?
I knew, like, I think of like Colombia and South America.
Correct. So there's a bean belt like near the equator between the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. And it's Central America, South America. It's at parts of Africa. And then there's some really small parts in like India, Indonesia, Asia. But it's shrinking because of climate change. So because of the temperatures varying, that belt is very specific. Like you can't grow it in America.
Because it ain't hot enough.
Correct. Well, but the weird part is because of climate change, that belt's shrinking. It's not expanding.
Okay.
So it's actually, they're like trying to figure out different ways. But, speaking of inflation, like the price of coffee is going to go through the roof. Probably.
So with that simple sentence and announcement, you've just caused panic throughout 95% of the listeners.
Yeah, I might have. I'm not trying to, but it's just, you think of coffee is so ubiquitous, like it's everywhere you go, like you just get a cup of coffee.
Is that what I don't know what ubiquitous means.
I'm pretty sure that's what ubiquitous means. So you just get a cup of coffee, like it's around the corner, it's, you go through a drive-through, whatever you have to do. But part of that came with the idea of like a cup of Joe was, you tossed a quarter and it was a cup of Joe, and slowly but surely it's gone up. And part of the reason it's gone up is because of the culture and, pour over and all the different things that you can do with it. But the other part of the reason too is like the places where they grow it, it's shrinking. Like
I did hear once upon a time that back in those places, they obviously shipped out all the really good coffee and they sold the bottom end coffee to the locals. And then one year there was something, and this is just rumor, I have no idea, but one year they had an overflow of really good coffee, so they gave it to the locals, and then the locals are like, why are we drinking the crappy stuff and sending this stuff away? So I don't know if that's true or not.
A lot of people don't realize, I shouldn't say that. The average coffee drinker, like the normal person who's just slugging it down real quick in the morning to get through their day, they don't realize that the majority of what they're drinking is a blend. Like you're not actually getting like the full bean, or you're not actually like getting like a full Brazilian blend. Like you're actually getting like, I don't want to call it watered down, but like you're actually getting it blended with something that's cheaper, like a Guatemalan, or like something that's a little low end. So it'll be like 20% high end, 80%. It'd be like mixing your gases at the lot.
I just remember when I was a little kid watching TV commercials, they made it seem like Taster's Choice was the gourmet coffee that's ever been made. And I thought this was the top shelf, just the greatest stuff ever, just because of the way it was marketed.
Yeah.
That and Folgers Crystals, buddy. Folgers Crystals.
All right. Well, you want to give Todd one more shout out?
So, yes, our condolences to his family, his friends, everybody that will miss him. And that's a long list.
Yeah, it is. All right, let's go to restaurant policies. Like I had mentioned at the beginning of the show, there is a steakhouse in Philadelphia. I believe there's 4 of them across the country. One of the locations happens to be in Center City, Philadelphia, called Steak 48. And they are causing a stir kind of in the city, and people have been to Steak 48 before. The first thing they did is they put a minimum of $100 per person, which I have not heard of a minimum being applied to a restaurant. Have you?
No,
like a
I've
regular.
never heard of it.
I've heard of minimums being applied to like clubs,
Yes,
or different places where you're like a member, but I've never heard of a minimum to a walk-in establishment.
yes.
So they are attaching a $100 minimum per person if you go to Steak 48, and then on top of it, they're also adding a plethora. Do you like my vocabulary today?
You are
Oh
on
my God.
fire.
You know what? I think it's because I ate before the show. Maybe
might
I
be
was
it.
wrong about the whole thing. But they are basically some of them that they're adding: no casual wear, no excessive cleavage, no exposed undergarments, no hats, no bandanas, no hooded sweatshirts, no midriffs, and then no clothing emitting odors. So that could be perfumes, cologne, tobacco, and or marijuana. And people in the city are kind of implying like, who the hell is allowed to eat at Steak 48? And who's actually going there? And is this discriminatory?
Well, no, I mean, I don't see why it's discriminatory, because they've put in a dress code is essentially what to say, if you're saying they're discriminating against poor people because they're putting $100 minimum, well, you can charge whatever you want for your food. They could just charge $100 a meal. You know, if you want this, it's $100, this is $100. So, these establishments have a way of catering to whatever clientele they want to cater to. So,
but isn't what you just said a little like discriminatory has such a negative connotation all the time? Sometimes discriminatory, like there's levels to it, right? So obviously there's discriminatory levels that are just awful and should never happen. But like you can be discriminatory and not be an awful place or an awful person. Like I think what they're implying here, and some of the memes that were going around and things, is like, who is eating here now? Like it's not. And the other thing, like with the dress code, I'm kind of rambling, but a dress code almost implies like what you should wear. This is like this is basically like no. Like what's left?
Well, I mean, jacket and tie. If you're
That's what it's going to have to be.
I mean, the ones that are easy are like no bandanas, no midriffs. Like some of those are easy. Now you start getting into the odor emitting, like I think, now we've got, whose nose is the official, dog sniffer here.
Sure.
You've also got excessive cleavage. Like what is your definition of? So it's obviously going to be a challenge, but my guess would be that this didn't just come out of nowhere. They've obviously discussed this for a while because they knew it was going to make waves. And they're looking for a certain clientele, and there is a clientele that is going to appreciate this. And it's not. This isn't racial. This is socioeconomic. Yes. And they want to, it's basically like they've tried to make it a private club without making it a private club.
Yeah, which is weird. Because why wouldn't you just if you only had 4 locations across the country, just make it a members thing?
Maybe. And they'll see how it goes. But when you watch these fancy movies with guys like, oh, he got a table at a restaurant that's been booked and he's up. I mean, there are restaurants out there that I was at a restaurant in Baltimore. I went with a meeting with a bigwig at a radio station, and they gave me a jacket because I didn't have one. Okay. So they went to the closet and gave me a jacket. So there are, the sign says long-haired freaky people need not apply. And so, there are places with dress codes. Yeah. And so the dress code part doesn't, I don't know. I don't think this is as big a deal as everybody else does, because it sounds like. I don't know. That's a good question.
The dress code, the issue, it's not even an issue. What's weird about this dress code is it's more about like don't do these 25 things instead of just coming, like your dress code very easily could have been like formal. Like your dress code, you could have said for anything below formal will not be accepted. But to go through and like actually like, here are the 25 things that we are not accepting. Like, that's just, I don't want to say it's like a different level or step, but it is like, I don't know. It goes back to what we were saying before, like, make me feel like I'm a part of it. Don't scold me or tell me what I have to do. And that's what this is. Like, it's almost like a scolding or like being told like, nope, nope, nope. Instead of just being like, hey, come join us and let's have a formal meal. Anything less than formal will not be accepted.
Well, now, I mean, the more I think about it, maybe I'm wrong. Is this directed, because it's in inner city Philly?
Center City.
Is this basically a roundabout way of saying we want the drug dealers not eating here?
I think it very well could be. Well, so like some of the memes, and they're funny, so I want to talk about them, but also too, it goes along with your point. Somebody took all the Bond villains and put them at the same table and put a Steak 48 sign over the top of it. Almost like implying they're the only people who have fancy enough clothing and enough money to actually eat at Steak 48. Another one showed a picture of, what's the dinner with Jesus?
The Last Supper?
The Last Supper, thank you. Someone took a picture of the Last Supper. I'm not religious, you know this. Somebody took a picture of the Last Supper and said, find me somebody who would have been allowed in Steak 48. And because the answer is no, like nobody in that picture would have been allowed. So like people are having fun with it. But to your point, there is like a group of society, like there is a selective group of people that like very clearly are being kept out of Steak 48.
Who can afford it? I mean, that's when you're talking about bandanas, like when we watch these movies with the Thomas Crown Affair and Wall Street and all these guys where these big time suit and tie guys, you're not worrying that Michael Douglas is coming in with a bandana on. And so there's a reason they did this. And it's not because they went out of their way to keep the poor people out, because it's a fancy steakhouse, so they were keeping the poor people out anyway. So which rich people were they trying to keep out?
I would be curious to which it would be interesting to hear from the restaurant themselves. Did they decide on the minimum before the dress code, or is the dress code a result of the minimum? Do you see where I'm going with that?
Yeah.
Because that would answer, I think, a lot of what you're getting at. Is the dress code a result of, if we're going to charge people $100, we can't just have anybody walking in here? And for that reason, like, you need to look formal and here are the rules and we're setting them. Or did they want to set these dress codes to keep people out, and to make it seem reasonable, we're also going to have $100 minimum on top of it? That would be fascinating to know which one came first, the $100 minimum or the dress code.
No, I agree with that. And what else you should do is you should watch the Da Vinci Code as they talk about the Last Supper painting, and was Mary Magdalene in the
read
picture.
all the Dan Brown novels too, so it's not,
It's interesting.
Thank Weis Markets.
Thank you to Weis Markets, who will be busy this weekend. Weather-wise is probably not helping, but if this was, it's crazy that the weather has been so ridiculously warm and nice sometimes, and now we're going to get the rain during Memorial Day weekend. But either way, whether you're having your family picnic or your family, people still going to have their family gatherings, whether it's inside, outside, whatever. You can get all your stuff at Weis Markets. Thank you them for sponsoring us here in the Midday Show and on the prize wheel. Again, today we will have a $25 Weis gift card, a $50 Weis gift card, and a $100 Weis gift card. Plus, also we have gift cards to Eat and Run Catering, the Break Room, and the Moon and Raven. I would suspect most typical restaurants, like the Moon and Raven, will be closed on Memorial Day, right? I mean, a lot of restaurants are closed Mondays anyway. Yeah. But because the Memorial Day is such a picnic day, I wonder if restaurants look at weather and say, if it's going to rain all day on Memorial, like people have to go somewhere. I wonder how that works in the restaurant business.
Well, even just the timing, after the year we just went through, can places pick up a day and, like Memorial Day, and knowing people might come in because it's a day off.
Yeah, it is interesting. But anyway, thank you to all those people. And I am 3 for 4 this week. I said I was going to go 3 for 5, but I think I've undershot. I'm feeling it again today. I think I'm hitting something. So we'll see. Maybe we can give a $100 Weis gift card to someone.
All right. Today's random winner from the Midday Show Facebook group is Captain Stewart? Is that a coincidence? Captain?
I don't know. Captain Stewart. I'm guessing
from
it's
the Midday
like
Show Facebook group.
I'm guessing it's like militarily-ish. He's captain. So there we go.
I have a funny story for you after you spin the wheel.
Do you want me? What do you want me to hit? Do you want me to hit one and make you feel even worse?
I just want you to Babe Ruth it again.
Do you want me to stand up?
Call your
stand up and spin it hard?
Go ahead. Call your shot.
I'm hitting something. I don't know.
Point to center field, dead center.
No, I had it. I thought I had a $25 gift card and I missed it. I was just a little too oomphy.
Just shy.
Because that's what happens when you're super strong. Super strong.
We go through this. So I don't know how you guys decided it.
Oh, anyway, before we go any further, Captain Stewart, you will get a T-shirt. I think I'm picking them up. They're like, I think next weekend we're sending everything out. It could be, we could really make the mail post office annoyed a couple Mondays from now because they're coming. But he wins a T-shirt, a Midday Show T-shirt. And if you would like to enter, just go to Facebook and enter the Midday Show group and just like it and join our group. And then you have a chance. So there you go.
Nice. When you had your kids,
yes,
was there discussion what the grandparents would be called?
What were we thinking?
What the aunt and uncles would be called?
You know, a little bit.
Okay.
We mostly asked them. And it was funny because mine were just Graham. And it was weird because I didn't really know either my grandfathers. I knew one a little, and the other one had passed away before I was born. But we kind of asked them what they wanted to be called. And my father-in-law is like, I don't want anything that makes me sound old. So it's hard to come up with a form of grandpa that doesn't make you sound old. So I don't know. Yeah, we did. So go ahead. Continue on with your story.
So I really didn't like the sound of uncle. I don't know why. There's something about it. The Polish, what some of my family is vuja. So I didn't like
booyah.
Vuja.
Not like Stuart Scott on
not booyah.
Okay.
I would have liked that better than vuja. I didn't love Uncle Jeff. I didn't like vuja Jeff. So I jokingly said I want to be Captain Jeff. And so early on, I would sign birthday cards, Captain Jeff. When I would say goodbye, I'd be like, Captain Jeff's leaving. And then we were probably a week or two ago, I saw my niece and it was before we were leaving and she was singing a song and she said, I want Captain to sing it. And it was the greatest moment ever because mission accomplished.
How old is she?
Probably, great question. 3. She just had a 3 Rex birthday party.
You don't know how old your niece is?
I just told you, she just had a 3 Rex birthday party.
You told me that right after you said great question.
It was. I had to think about it. I have multiple nieces. I have multiple cousins,
Uncle.
Multiple family. You like Uncle?
I always liked Uncle. I don't mind. Grandfather, whenever that day arrives, I don't know how that's going to go. But yeah, I like Uncle because I always, I tell people I'm that uncle. I have
no opinion on Captain because that was the whole point of me telling you this story.
No, I like Captain because I thought as a grandfather someday I'd either like to be called Chief or Boss or something like that.
Chief is actually kind of funny.
I like Chief.
Chief is good. I always thought Pappy. You ever heard the Pappy?
That's what we've done through, and I don't like it.
Okay.
I don't want to be Pappy. It doesn't. Okay. There's nothing.
Oh, you guys actually use Pappy?
We use Pappy.
Okay.
And there's nothing masculine about. It's cool when it's a 3-year-old girl and she's Pappy. But then when you're 14 and you're Pappy, it just
no,
loses.
That's true.
Then that's when Chief really hits.
We have on my mom's side, it's the Polish side. So my grandfather was Jodge or Jaji, and then my grandmother was Bush or Bushi.
I've heard of those on my mother's side. Okay. My mother's side. My ex's side's mother is British, so there's a lot of British. So I've heard of those.
Okay. What's the British side? Do they have
which ones did you just say? Jaji and Bougie?
We called mine Bushi and Jaji.
I think there's a Bushi.
Okay.
Somewhere in the family tree there was a Bushi, and a Jaji sounds familiar. But
Okay.
yeah, I see. I don't like any of those. I always liked Uncle. I told myself, that I was the uncle that they didn't. The first time I met my one nephew's girlfriend, I went up to her and I was like, I was the one they warned you about. And that was the first thing I ever said to her. And he started laughing and he looked at me and goes, yeah, I did. I warned her about you. So,
see, I think I'm going to stick with Captain. Now, at some point, like you said about the Pappy, like when they're 14 and they're calling for Pappy,
Captain works.
I think Captain's okay. Like,
Captain,
I think when they're older and like whatever.
It never, yes, I would stick with Captain.
And they're like, what's happening, Captain?
What's up? What's up, Captain?
Yeah, like I think it works.
I do too. Okay, I would stick with that one.
That's good. I'm glad I got your approval on that. Do not feed the monkeys. This is a crazy story. At the El Paso Zoo, a woman was filmed feeding the spider monkeys. Was Elizabeth Ray, 26. She is now booked at the El Paso County Detention Facility for a charge of criminal trespass. First of all, like, it's the idea of climbing in to an animal's habitat just has never even crossed my mind.
You know why? Because you're sane.
Even if it was legal, I don't think it's something that I would want to do.
Well, people are so, I mean, you grew up with cartoons and all the animals are so lovable and friendly and like, I mean, when you hear spider monkey, you think of a little bitty spider.
These things aren't, in the picture there in the middle, you can see they're not that tiny.
There's no way. Like the guy said, they're carnivores. They have, in sizes. Like this lady's not climbing in here thinking at all that she could be lunch for the tiger monkey.
That's true. But yes, that is true. So this story gets even better. The woman was seen on social media in a video trespassing. So what ended up happening was the stunt at the zoo cost Ray her job at the Lovett Law Firm. So she was working at a law firm. The company said Monday that she had been fired and called her behavior irresponsible and reckless.
Well, hold on. Before you go any further, the Lovett Law Firm?
Yes.
Is this like LOVE-IT?
No.
Okay.
That would be good, though.
So it's spelled like Lyle Lovett, who was married to what's her name for 20 minutes.
Yes, you've officially abandoned everyone under the age of 30, but yes, that is correct.
You think anyone under the age of 30 is watching us?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So anyway, you may continue.
The stunt at the zoo cost her a job. The law firm released a statement, and this is my favorite part of
this. Is very good.
The law firm released a statement, and within the statement, in quotes, "We support the El Paso Zoo, and our thoughts go out to the spider monkeys, Libby and Sunday, and hope that they will recover from this very traumatic experience," the firm said in a statement. So the law firm personally apologized in their statement for the traumatic experience to the spider monkeys. We have officially lost, like, forget all the things people think's crazy, forget all the stuff that's changing in the world. We have officially lost it when a law firm feels that it is necessary to not apologize to the zoo, but the actual monkeys by name themselves.
I agree. Stop. The world can stop spinning now. It's time for us to get off.
And I have no issues with Libby and Sunday. I hope they're having a great day. I hope Libby and Sunday live long and prosper. But I want to personally apologize to the monkeys makes zero sense.
First of all, the lady climbed in. She fed them, correct?
Supposedly she was throwing food at them, but it doesn't say what she was actually feeding them.
Okay. So I'm just not sure where there's necessarily trauma. And you explained that they said the spider monkeys don't always have human interaction, and these monkeys can be dangerous and vicious. So the people, so that there's always like walls of protection and people just don't go wander around with them. But that still doesn't mean, I mean, if you're one of these, if you're Sunday, what was the other one? Libby? If you're them and they look over there, who the hell's that? Yeah. That doesn't make it traumatic. Like, I don't understand.
It makes it different. It's a different day.
I mean, there is no, I mean, the monkeys may have been like, great, this food you just threw us is better than the crap they feed us every other day. This may be the greatest day in these monkeys' lives. Now, I do understand, as you talked about, they're afraid now that they have to make the enclosures more secure, which will then lessen zoo goers' abilities to possibly see the monkeys, because all of us who've ever
They have names.
Libby, that's true. Libby and Sunday.
Thank you.
And everyone who's ever been to the zoo, you've showed up at those exhibits and you're like, where's the hippo? Is it? You're like, oh, it must be inside. So that's obviously one of the things the zoo wants. They want people to be able to see them. So I get that. But the public apology, did they put it in like the newspaper as well? Did they put it on the Facebook page? Because you need to apologize in a way that the monkeys got to read it.
The statement's online, so I'm sure word got to the monkeys. This is the other question and like question of the day. Where's the line? Like, that's one of my favorite games to play. It's just like, where's the line? So like this person who hopped the spider monkey exhibit and is like trying to feed these spider monkeys, what is the line? Like, what's the next level above the spider monkey, and would she have gone in? Like, what is the line of the thing that she wouldn't have wanted to go in and see?
Where was she like, I'm not climbing in with the alligators?
Right. Like, what is the line for you? Like, because we've had arguments and debates before with my cousins. To me, like, the most terrifying animal in the world is a gorilla. Like, you? Yes, a gorilla. They're mini Hulks. They're terrifying. They're mini Hulks.
Don't you like? My first one is great white shark, because I feel like I have a chance to make friends with the gorilla. I don't think the shark and I are making friends.
You don't have a chance to make friends with the gorilla.
What do you mean you might?
You don't have.
I think you do. I have a better chance than with the shark.
Well, you have a better chance of making friends with the gorilla than the shark, sure, but like, you're not making friends with the gorilla.
If given the choice. Like an alligator isn't more scary than a gorilla?
No, dude, a gorilla, like, they're so strong and they're so fast. And there's like, I'm telling you, like, if you saw the Hulk walking down the street, that is a Hulk. It is a furry covered Hulk.
But if this was the way things were going to end, wouldn't you rather get pummeled to death than eaten?
By the gorilla?
Yeah.
The gorilla's going to eat you.
But you're already pummeled to death.
Doesn't make it any better.
It doesn't?
I don't think
Didn't you see Jaws when they had Flint and he's like, he's halfway.
Yeah, it's awful. But like,
awful.
I'm just not going to get
I would rather have the gorilla pick me up and throw me across the way.
I don't know, dude. When that gorilla looks you in the eyes and there's like a real thought behind it and it's coming like... I think you're underestimating the gorilla.
No, I'm not. But now I'm back to the original point. When the gorilla looks me in the eyes, I can look back and we can have a bonding, like, mutual respect moment, and we can say, hey, let's work this out.
You're not going to have a bonding mutual respect
I think you're wrong.
moment.
I got a shot to negotiate with the gorilla.
Speaking of negotiations, Twitch, which, do you want to explain to people what Twitch is really quick?
Since you just explained it to me an hour ago.
Explain what Twitch is to the people.
Yeah, and in my defense, you're like, have you heard of Twitch? And I said, yes. And then you started, I was like, I don't know what it is, but I've heard of it.
Yeah, go ahead, let the people in. You'll do a great job.
You think?
Yeah.
Okay, it's kind of, as Jeff has explained to me, it is kind of a blend. It started out as a format. What word? I'm not looking. Format's
Platform.
Not the right word. A platform.
Yep.
It started out as a platform for video gamers to be able to share their live playing of the game.
Yes.
So in that aspect, it's kind of a blend between like where FaceTiming with someone else, so you have a video conversation, but also like YouTube, because it's not just a video phone call. You're like showing something. So that's how Jeff explained it to me. If that's all wrong, blame him, because I'm just regurgitating.
No, that was pretty good. That's legit. And plus, people your age know what FaceTime is and they know what YouTube is. So that's the meshing of the two. They can get an idea of what it is.
And we also know that sharks are scarier than gorillas.
Possibly.
Did you never watch Magilla Gorilla?
Yeah, I know Magilla Gorilla.
Friendly.
Yeah. Didn't he wear a vest?
He did a little hat.
If I see a gorilla with a vest, I'll change my mind.
And then and grape ape. Purple gorilla. Everyone knows that. Purple gorillas.
I mean, do you want to sit here and name gorillas like Mighty Joe Young,
No.
King Kong? Like, what do you want to do here? Like, what?
No, I was done. Mighty Joe Young would have never crossed my mind. I don't even know what Mighty Joe Young's from.
So Twitch is basically in trouble. I shouldn't say in trouble. They are being asked to take down over 1,000 videos because there is music playing in the background. So the way that it was explained, these takedown orders are coming because somebody playing video games has like their speakers in the background and they're playing licensed music. And what these music publishers are doing is they're using automated systems to basically search all the videos. And when they actually hear their song that they own, they're basically flagging it and asking Twitch to take it down. And I think what this does is it comes into the bigger conversation, not so much of like who is wrong or right, but I think more like you and I've talked a lot about like social media and music and movies and where things are heading and what should they be trying to do. To me, this seems very archaic by music publishers in the music industry. I don't really know what the end game is here. I'm not really sure how they truly benefit from having these videos taken down off of Twitch.
I agree with you. The word archaic, I think, is best. And I understand any creative people trying to protect their rights. But while they're playing stuff in the background, they could be playing stuff that's 40 years old. And then, and as you said, it's not necessarily like part of the gimmick. It's just like while these dudes are playing video games, they're playing music in the background because
the music isn't the focal point.
Correct. It's just like the ambiance of the room.
Right.
So, like in a lot of ways, it helps. It could help because people are like, oh, what song is that? I heard that song and now I'm going to go download it. And so it's always been one of the great debates of they talk about, back in our day before YouTube came along and you couldn't see anything, you couldn't hear all this stuff free, that people would try to bootleg concerts. And it was a big thing that people go into, and I was with a buddy who got caught and got his recorder taken away and blah, blah, blah. But then I went to a Grateful Dead show and the Grateful Dead was the opposite. They used to let people go plug into the soundboard and they encouraged people to record the concerts because they thought that it would be a great marketing tool to whatever. And it was, because the Dead was the highest grossing, like they were, immortal. So it is that aspect, and that they struggle with it in all kinds of things, like in sports where they black out. If you don't sell enough tickets for the NFL, then you can't watch the game on TV. But then people always say, well, don't you promote it better by you allowing people to see it on TV? Sure. And then they want to go to the game. So there is there are different schools of thought to the marketing. And I agree with you that this is just coming in and being like, you can't use it unless you've paid for it. Well, but they're also getting free advertising that they hear it. And then you're like, oh, I like that. Maybe I should go pay for it.
Right. The ironic part is I can't tell you how many times, and maybe it's just because of like my age and where I'm at, I can't tell you how many times I heard a song in a movie and the first thing I did was pause the movie and Google the song and try to find it so that I could listen to it. And so like, if I'm watching a Twitch stream, if I'm watching a YouTube video, if I'm watching us on Facebook and there's a beat or there's a song in the background that catches my ear, and my first instinct, you can't pay for that kind of marketing. Like that marketing costs a lot of money to get it out in front of people where people are actually instinctively listening to it and like, oh, wow, I wonder what that is, and looking it up. I can see 10, 15, 20 years ago how it made sense because they had a lock on how you could get it and how you could find it and how you could purchase it. The floodgates are open now.
Right.
And so the idea that you're going to apply, I don't want to call them laws, but you're going to apply marketing schemes and things that worked 15 years ago to today's market, which is already flooded. It's already saturated. Like if you're an artist and you're trying to get airplay right now, yes, there's never been an easier time to get your music out there, but there's also never been an easier time for your music to just be drowned out by the sea of music that's already there.
Right.
So if somebody on Twitch has your song playing in the background and they've got 500 people watching them play video games and your song's playing, that's worth any amount of marketing money you would give. I just don't get it. Unless there's a back end amount of money that they are losing that they're somehow going to make up by getting these videos taken down, sure, but I don't see it. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
But how are they losing? It would be the equivalent of you and I having a song playing in the background and a record company be like, we're losing money because Mark and Jeff are playing the song in the background. Because if people hear the song and they want to hear it again, Well, they can go to YouTube.
Yeah.
But if they don't go to YouTube, they can go download it and they can buy. I agree with you.
For me, it's like you're shooting your own foot because you're already losing money. Like to your point,
Right.
like you're already losing money because of the way the industry is happening and technology and everything else. The only way you make it worse is if everyone's losing money, but your song isn't the one playing. And that's essentially what these music publishers are doing. Like we're bleeding money, but hey, the little bit of advertising we're getting for free or the little bit of marketing we're getting for free because some 18-year-old video game player has my music playing in the background, cut that off too. And it just doesn't make sense.
No, and you need it to be heard. You need it to be heard. So, and maybe they'll buy the next one, or maybe they go to the concert. But you're right. The competition has never been. The competition pool has never been deeper.
Right.
And to get any notoriety, the answer is not to say, turn me off.
Yeah, doesn't make a ton of sense. Real quick before we end today's show, let's go through some comments. We'll start over with a good one. Lisa, thank you very much. You guys make my lifetime so much better. Thank you for these shows. Thank you, Lisa.
Oh, can we put that one up every day?
Every day.
Are you Lisa Ann Fanning?
Yes. I go in there and I type it in. Party. Pour over is the best. Do you know what pour over is?
No idea.
It's not, I don't want to call it a type of coffee. I believe I don't want to call it a style either. It's a way of making the coffee. I believe it's called a pour over brew. Maybe Patrick or somebody can correct me on that. So yeah, it's just a different way of making the coffee. So it has like a stronger oomph.
I believe you.
It's the best.
I believe it. Now I do love coffee cake. Coffee cake is delicious.
See, the coffee flavoring of anything is just not for me.
You don't like coffee cake?
I don't think so.
Oh gosh.
No, I don't think so. I don't really love cake though. In general, I'm not like a huge cake person.
Because you're such a healthy eater.
No, that has nothing to do with it. That should tell you how much I'm not a big cake fan because I'm not a healthy eater either. Michael said, rest in peace, Todd, class of 79, Williamsport area high school, will all miss you. So class of 79, Williamsport area high school. I didn't know he was a graduate of Williamsport.
Yeah, I did know that actually. Okay. If I didn't mention that, I meant to.
And then Patrick also said, gonna miss you, Todd. And then we also had Kathy as well reach out and say me too. So it was a sad day, but it was interesting getting to talk about coffee a little bit. And like I said, on the website right now, it says that they are temporarily closed, meaning that Way Cool Beans, I'm imagining, will have a plan hopefully sometime in the future.
He was just one of those guys that if you met him, you were just like, you just knew that people liked him. You're like, I understand why people like him because he's just a good guy.
Yeah.
And it's too bad.
It is. Nice show today. Anything else you want to, any comments, anything you want to
No, like enjoy the weekend. It's different. I think it's some of these rainy weekends can be great. It's unfortunate we're getting one now as the world seems to be kind of opening and we've longed for this, and Memorial Day weekends like the summer kickoff. And I don't remember, Memorial Day weekend is always hot. Yeah. And you hear these, radio stations with the countdowns, and you hear all these things, and it's people at pools and river lots, and we're gonna get lousy weather. But sometimes to kind of hunker down with the family again. I think that's the one thing we learned through COVID, that kind of indoor time with the family that you didn't expect is sometimes a lot. It's a blessing that we didn't really count on. So I know this isn't the Memorial Day weekend that we would have hoped for, that we would have requested, but enjoy the time with your family and find some things to do inside. And we do need the rain. So I'm happy for that.
Nice. That's like the nicest you've ever been.
Well, you always like every time I say something nice, you're like, oh my gosh, you're not. I'm a sincere, thoughtful guy who doesn't feed spider monkeys.
You weren't sure what noun to use, were you?
I didn't know where I got halfway into the sentence. I didn't know how to end it. So
You're trying to figure it out.
It happens.
Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to use Weis Markets for all your grocery needs. Thank you to Weis Markets for being our title sponsor. Also, thank you to NorthcentralPa.com. Be sure to go there for all your local news. I'm Jeff Everett. He's Mark Messina. Thank you for watching the Midday Show.
We'll see you next week. We'll be here Monday. We are here.
We are here. Memorial Day. We're here.
We are here. We are not slacking.
Nope. We'll see you Monday.